Awesome. John, lead us off.
Hey, Sean, John Scott, good to see you. After checking out the film, what stood out to you most from Josh Allen's performance yesterday?
I think it was really a team effort on the offensive side. Josh spread the ball around well, went to the open receivers, went through his progression. Found some plays late in the down, where he had to get out of the pocket a little bit, and our receivers went to their scramble drill. Whether it was receivers, backs, tight ends, he spread the ball around well yesterday, I thought.
And conversely, what did you see from your defense, which at least from a points and yardage allowed perspective was not up to what the usual standard is?
Yeah, like I said after the game, I give credit where credit's due. They did a good job on their side of the ball, on the offensive side of the ball against our defense, and I got to do a better job there, and we got a lot of work ahead of us.
Thanks, Sean.
Sure.
Hi, Coach. Congrats on the win and going 2-0. You've now traveled more this past weekend than most of America has over the last 6 months or so. Given the NFL's restrictions and guidelines on travel, what was the road trip like? And also, how different was it from previous road games last year?
Yeah, I mean, it was a heavier lift than previous road games that I've been on. And honestly, for me, my first trip since March, since all this began last March. But really cool how our operations staff got out in front of this thing, as I said during the week. Just tremendous with the plan that was in place, all the detail that was baked into this trip. And I think our players did a phenomenal job of adjusting. And there's a lot of challenges on this trip. First trip for us this year as a team, rookies, their first trip in the NFL, COVID baked into that. Then we faced the weather going down there 100 degrees, and then the lightning storm. So a lot of challenges. And then another cool piece was the fans. As you guys saw, that Miami allowed a certain percentage of fans, and I'm happy to say a significant percentage were Bills fans. So that was awesome to see, man, and just was fired up. We ran out of the tunnel to that ovation or that cheer, man. Was just, you could hear the crowd, man. It gave me chills, man. Just hearing that when we ran out of somebody else's tunnel there was awesome.
You brought up the fans. I'll bring this up. The first week was somewhat of a sterile environment, if you will, with nobody. And then to see as few fans as there were, a significant number were Bills fans. How exciting and maybe helping you guys through some close moments late in the game.
Yeah, that's huge. They're our 12th man. Obviously we don't have them at home, but they're with us in heart. And so it was cool to hear them behind us with the chants and the singing and all the things that they normally do at our games here at home. So that was special.
Good. Thank you, Coach.
Sure.
Hey, Coach, you guys are playing the Rams this weekend. What have you seen from Sean McVay and how he's built that Rams team over the last few seasons and put together a pretty good squad for this year too?
Yeah, tremendous coach. A lot of respect for Sean. Obviously he's gotten his team to the Super Bowl, and they're a high-octane offense with a lot of weapons on the defensive side as well. And so they've got a great roster and great coaches. This is a really good football team coming in here, and so we've got a long week of work ahead of us, long week of preparation. I'm confident in the guys that they'll put a good week in of work here.
And then speaking of some defensive weapons that they have on that team, they have Jalen Ramsey. You guys have Trey White. So what do you think makes an elite corner in today's NFL, both being pretty different players in how they prepare?
Yeah, I think just speaking with Trey, because he's the guy I know the best here because he plays for us. Trey's just an elite competitor. He prepares. He works his butt off during the week. He prepares in the off season. He's a great teammate. And so that's what I see in Trey every day. You see it out there, Matt. You're at practice. And so he's a pleasure to have on our team.
Thanks, Coach.
Sure.
Hey, Sean, Thad Brown. Good to see you.
You too, Thad.
Any injury updates coming out of yesterday? Specifically, I'm thinking Dawson, and then any update on Tremaine or Matt Milano?
Yeah, the linebacker on the linebacker front, those guys are working through things. We'll know more in the coming days, and then Dawson's in the concussion protocol.
What was the thinking yesterday behind sitting Cody Ford down for a little while and getting Brian Winters in there for 20 plays or so?
Yeah, just taking a look at from an offensive strategy standpoint and looking at some things. The first couple of weeks, 3-4 weeks, you're trying to find out who you are as a football team and what gives you the best chance to win and against different matchups, different looks. And so I think that's where we are at some positions right now, in particular with that, because we haven't had the preseason games to do that. Excuse me.
I was going to ask, is it more of that because of the lack of preseason?
I'd say it's a combination of both. Yeah, a combination of both. We feel good about Cody. We feel good about Brian and Quentin Spain inside there, among others. And so just trying to find combinations that work best.
Thanks, Sean. Appreciate it.
Sure. Yeah.
Hey, Sean, it's Sal. Good to see you.
You too, Sal.
I know you think of everything, weather, preparation, environment. What about a lightning delay? Did you guys actually think about something like that? Did you prepare for it, whether it was coming into the week or just in times in the past? And how did you feel your team handled it after that situation?
Yeah, we well, it was discussed. I can tell you that we have a good feel, going to Florida, what could be the case with weather down there and those afternoon thunderstorms. And I can tell you, I walked downstairs in our on the first level of our building here last week, and there was literally a conversation going on about a weather delay. And so I was just, our staffs, they were great. They were on top of it, and that's the plan we put in place when we went inside.
Okay, thanks.
Sure.
Hey, Coach, Dan Fates in Rochester. Josh only ran the ball twice, and on his first carry of the game, ran 16 yards and slid. And John Feliciano was actually tweeting during the game, and he kind of said he was so happy that he slid. On his second rushing attempt, he didn't slide. He took on Kyle Van Noy pretty much head on. Twitter and Bills fans loved it. What was your reaction to seeing your quarterback take on a linebacker, especially with how well Josh is playing and how well this offense is clicking?
Yeah, you can just first I'll address Feliciano tweeting. I'd rather see him playing right guard or left guard than tweeting. Number one, but I guess that's what these guys do these days, right? During games. No, it's look. At the end of the day, I was proud of Josh and how he handled that first situation, and in the second situation, he was trying to get the first down. We've got to make sure we protect the ball, plain and simple, at the same time. So I know the whistle blew, but at the end of the day, we got to make sure we protect the ball.
Thanks, Coach.
Hey, Sean, good to see you. All day today, we've been hearing about injuries around the NFL, and it seems like maybe more so now than we ever have in one singular day. I know there's no rhyme or reason to any of this. Do you have any thoughts on why we've maybe seen so many injuries, especially just 2 weeks into the year?
Well, I don't spend my time researching that. I know our trainers and medical staff do, and I just know this off of my recollection. When we had the last time we had a short preseason, not a preseason, but a short time together, like the 2011 situation, I think there was a spike in injuries that year as well. So I think there is a direct correlation. But again, I'm no doctor, and so I don't think it's all that surprising. But I think at the end of the day, the teams that handle it the best are the teams that are going to give themselves the best chance to win.
And kind of feeding off of that, you guys pride yourself on the depth that you have on this roster. As we're 2 weeks into it, we've had to see that a little bit. What's your evaluation of that depth?
Yeah, I've been pleased to this point. Would I like our starters to be healthy and out there? Yes. But it is what it is. We can control, and I've been very proud of the way the backups have been ready to go. They've respected the process during the week and made sure they were prepared. And that's what this league's about. And you got to, when your number's called, you have an opportunity to step in. And I thought, yesterday you saw a number of guys doing that at different parts of the game, and the credits to them and the coaches for having them ready.
Thanks, Sean.
Sure.
Hey, Sean, Matt here. You guys gave Jordan Poyer an extension this offseason, named him a captain, comes out in the first 2 games, has a big play last week, sack this week in the fourth quarter. I mean, you've been around him now. This is a fourth year. But does it ever surprise you anymore when he's making these big plays and big moments?
Well, he's a good football player. He does a lot for this football team, very unselfish, and it's been fun to watch him grow and develop. I think, Jordan and Micah both are real, to me, a real joy to work with, be around. They're unselfish, good team guys, and I can't say enough about the two of them together.
And now that you got a chance to watch the film, how do you think Tyrell performed starting at middle linebacker for you?
Yeah, in terms of the earlier question about the backups being ready to go, I thought Tyrell was very active in the game. He's come a long way in a short amount of time here. Last year, not suiting up, to my knowledge, for a game, if my memory serves me correctly, and to come in the second game of the year start and play the number of snaps that he played, he really did some good things. Now, a lot of work remains, and I think that humble and hungry approach will serve him well as he moves forward here.
Thanks, Sean.
Sure.
Coach, good afternoon. Mookie Hawkins, Waffle Sports 1080. Good win yesterday.
Thanks, Mookie. Appreciate it.
Now, you got a third of the division, pretty much locked up. You got 6 division games right now. You're 2-0. The job that your staff is doing right now, I mean, how much do you appreciate the job that these guys are doing so far so good this year?
Yeah, man, I'm very fortunate to be around a great staff. My dad, being a football coach, always said, "You're only as good as your staff," and I think that is so true, man. Right? So I'm very fortunate, and to be around good players also. I mean, I'm a lot better coach when we got good staff around me and good players. So very fortunate, very grateful for it.
Man, you took the words right out of my mouth. The great Al Scott told me that as well. I'm trying to beat this guy, and he's like, you know what? You never beat me. You never win the championship until you got a staff. When I won my first championship, Coach, I looked around and I had that staff. So that is a true story to that. But, we are moving on to week 3, okay? And, so what are some of the challenges that your team faces this week?
Well, I think, we got to turn the page. And after we close shop today and we gave the players the feedback they needed, now we turn our attention to the Rams and we need to get our rest. Now we're into the routine of the week-to-week routine, and as we entered into last week for the first time, and we're going to be playing a home game this week. I think that'll help some of the guys get some more rest, which was good. We came off a long flight down and back last night, so I'm anxious for us to take another step as a team this week in practice and in our preparation. And we're still finding out who we are as a football team. This will be a big challenge for us with the team that's coming off the Super Bowl just a couple of years ago, and the Rams and Sean McVay.
And remember, man, earning the right to win has its advantages, right?
Sure does.
Good luck this week, Coach.
Yeah. Thanks, Mookie. You too.
Hey, Coach. Adam Benini, WGRZ TV. I noted your response yesterday. I think it was a question about Josh when you said, look, it's week 2, right? But when you hear that stat that came out after the game last night, I think it was Pro Football Reference, 700-plus yards, 6 touchdowns, no interceptions, 4th QB in NFL history, with Manning, Brady, Mahomes. To hear him mention and to see him produce that way, what's your reaction when you've seen it and now you've heard that stat?
Well, I think it's humbling anytime your name's mentioned in that company, right? And Josh I can't tell you how proud I am of him. Just the way he's approached his off season, the way he's approached training camp. I'm talking about Adam, and then the way he's approached the early start to the season. Very humble approach, very hungry approach, and very team first approach, which is, I think, it's a great foundation from which to build on. And listen, as I said yesterday, 2 games into the season, we all, including myself, have to continue to improve and evolve and grow. I'm real happy with his start to this point.
Thank you.
Sure.
Hey, Sean, Josh Reed here. In the second half, yesterday's win, Josh and John Brown it looked like maybe they weren't on the same page on a play, and he just missed them. Very next play, Josh comes right back to John Brown, and it lays that big touchdown. What does that say about kind of their chemistry together, knowing that Josh it will go right back to them.
Yeah, I mean, it's huge, and it's really cool to watch these guys work in practice. And, I have a chance to, stand behind the offensive huddle and watch as plays unfold and the conversations that go on in between plays where Josh or the receivers or tight ends or backs will follow up with him or he'll follow up with them. And even from the protection standpoint with the offensive line. And then even last week, I remember vividly, the defense was taking the field to get their work in, and the offense was going off, and Josh was having a conversation with one of the receivers just to follow up. And that detail of being on the same page is so important because that's what leads to high level of execution.
Something similar, kind of follow up on that. In the first half, he throws a ball that's pretty challenged, but it goes to Diggs. And is that one of those scenarios where it's, hey, we feel like our receiver is better than your defensive back. Josh is going to give Diggs a chance to just go win that ball.
Well, yes and no. I mean, I think the DB that was sitting underneath did a good job of falling off into the zone, and then Diggs went up and made a great play. And so give credit where credit's due. So sometimes we're going to make some plays. Sometimes they're going to make some plays. And listen, no one's perfect, but I think at the end of the day, real proud of the way the guys had that mentality, that winning mentality in the fourth quarter, and no one flinched, and it was a great team win.
Thanks, Sean. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, sure, Josh.
All set, Coach. Thanks for the time.
Okay, great. Thank you, guys. Have a great week.